Servus, Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. Why don't you join me on a little stroll through this forest while I talk today a little bit about the next or the current summer of love in the United States. Um, we know this phenomenon already, of course, as the name implies. And also in Europe and in Germany, we have a lot of these chimp outs of the exotics. Yeah, it happens on New Year's Eve, for example. It happens also during the summer, a little more decentralized, smaller events. But what happens in the US now seems to be much bigger and coordinated. And I think there is a similarity, but there is also something new. There is something also going on here that, at least to my knowledge, hasn't been so much in the focus yet. So I want to talk today about what's the same and where are differences. To make it short, I think, you know, um, one thing that is very, very much similar in Europe, Germany, and in the United States, that is that the progressive powers that be, they are importing the exotics, the criminal, irregular travelers. They're importing them in order to create a stable new voting base so that they will win future elections. You see that in the United States. They try to get them to vote via driver's licenses or social security numbers, something like that. And that is illegal, of course. But here in Europe, they try to do it the legal way by just changing the laws with respect to voting. It hasn't been changed fully yet, but they want to implement it. They're very open about it. They say, hey, you should not have to be a German citizen in order to vote in an election. You should just be a resident. So they want to make it so that all residents of Germany can vote. And that would, of course, be the end of our country. It would be the end of our people. It would be pretty much the end of democracy, because without a people, there is no state, there is no democracy. It's just a travesty by then. And yeah, in the US, they do it a little more underhandedly with these tricks with the social security number, where you can register to vote even though you're not a US citizen, which is, of course, illegal. Anyway, that is pretty similar. And of course, now that Trump wants to ramp up deportations, they had to, or their plan was then to just attack these officers in order to prevent these deportations from taking place. Because if the Republicans, if Trump could successfully deport them, and also that would be a strong sign to prospective immigrants that they're not welcome there and it's a bad idea to go there. This relentless, unending stream of new travelers that want to go illegally into the US, that would probably diminish or end. And that is why they organized a lot of NGOs, a lot of soft power, people power was mobilized in order to confront ICE and in order to prevent these deportations from taking place. So, that is pretty much the same in Germany. The offices for the integration and for the accommodation of these migrants, the bureaucrats, Green Party affiliated, of course, that are responsible for that in Germany, they regularly warn them when a raid or a deportation is scheduled, so that they're conveniently not at home, and they basically do everything they can in order to facilitate irregular migration, and also handing out visas with forged documents, and then also making them German citizens, handing them passports even though they entered illegally. So the entire administration in Germany is busy facilitating this remigration, or these basically installing this new voter bloc in Germany. Yeah, they're super busy with that. So that is very much the same. And I'm sure that we would see such an organized militant event also in Germany if there was any serious attempt by the German administration to deport them. That has not been the case yet, so of course they don't have to be this aggressive as they are right now in Los Angeles, for example. All right. So much for the similarities. Very much the same. However, I think with the Mexico United States situation, there is another component that people haven't been talking about so much yet. And that is the history of these two countries. I mean, if you look at the southwest of the United States, like California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and a couple of other states or parts of them, they have been historically, for a certain time at least, part of Mexico. And in case of California, I think Monterey was the former capital of California. Yeah? And I think that a lot of people in Mexico, especially the president with the curious family name, yeah, you should check on her heritage, they want to have that back. And I think this is not hyperbole, this is not a joke or something. They really want that back. I'm sure they want that back. And one way to get it back is, to put your people into these territories, have them get citizenship or just have them there as part of the population. And then at some point, you just wait for an opportunity, and anti-Trump sentiment or something, maybe they see that as a chance to start some kind of an uprising in order to get parts of these territories, at least, let's say Southern California or something, to make that part of Mexico again. And I'm really serious about this. And I don't know, maybe I'm a little bit too how should I say, too naive here, or maybe I'm not getting the picture correctly. Let me know. I'm really curious what you, esteemed listener, what you think about that. If you also think that this is a realistic possibility, or if that will never happen. If you think the chances are basically zero that this would happen, because I'm not so sure. I think it might happen, and they're showing these old maps, right, where you see all these territories and how they used to be part of Mexico. And that is something that doesn't really happen in Germany yet. I mean, there are a lot of Turks in certain places, for example, and now there are also a lot of Ukrainians, a lot of Syrians, but they never really said, hey, look, we want to incorporate this part of your state into Turkey or something. I mean, it's not even connected. I mean, yeah. And I also want to say that I really think that this is not just some kind of a protest. I think this is really an invasion of a foreign army. I mean, they're waving Mexican flags. They're showing these maps that tell you, oh, this used to be part of Mexico, haha. And to me, this looks like an invasion, actually. And the Americans should treat it like that. I mean, just because they're not wearing uniforms and it's the 21st century doesn't mean that it is effectively an invasion. And I think, when the French entered the Holy Roman Empire in the 19th century under Napoleon, and the Grande Armée marched through Germany, or the German states, the Germans didn't call law enforcement. They didn't call the local cops in order to see if this French army entered Germany legally with the proper paperwork. No, they knew that this was an invasion, and either you bent the knee, which they had to do because the Grande Armée was stronger, or you fight them with everything you got. And I'm not so sure that if people in the United States right now really understand what this is, because in my point of view, at least, this is an invasion. Yeah, this is an army. These are foreign operatives that have entered your territory, and they're trying to conquer it. And you should treat it as such, and you shouldn't be calling the cops. Okay, you should be responding like you would respond to an invading army. Yeah, at least that is what the Germans did back then. This is what every European power did when something like that happened. I mean, the Polish also didn't call for the sheriff when the Wehrmacht entered their territory in 1939. That would have been quite funny, huh? Calling the cops on an invading army. And you've seen that these law enforcement officers, they were not so effective. I mean, they were basically beaten back like it was nothing. So you really need the military there, I think. And this is what Trump is trying to do right now. We will see how this plays out. But I think this is the right call, because law enforcement is not able to deal with a force like that. You need the military, because it is an invading army. That's my point of view. Anyway, let me know what you think about that. What your thoughts on this are. How is it different from what we have in Europe? And what do you think about this Mexican annexation attempt and this plan to make these territories, these states, at some point in time at least Mexican again? Do you think this is realistic, given the situation right now that a lot of people, like 50% in Los Angeles or something, are already Hispanic, or even, no, not Mexican, I think Hispanic is the category. Anyway, a lot of them wave these Mexican flags, and I think it's realistic. And also a little interesting thing that I saw on the news is that they saw that the optics are really bad with all these Mexican flags, these progressive NGOs that orchestrate all this. So they told people, don't wave the Mexican flag, wave the American flag, you know. So when the National Guard comes or whatever, that they are confronted with an angry mob that is waving an American flag, because that's so much better, right? So when all these illegal migrants and all these Mexicans, they're waving American flags instead of their own Mexican flags, that would make somehow a difference psychologically. I don't know. Anyway, so you can look at this from two ways. Either, yeah, they had to do that because if Trump ramps up deportation, they would lose their voting bloc and they might not win elections in the future. So they had to move. On the other hand, these optics that they created are really perfect propaganda tools for the Trump administration to say, hey, look, this is an invasion, this is insurrection, we have to deal with this. Yeah, interesting. Let's see how this develops. Servus, Kameraden.